Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first full edition of the All Blaze No Glory podcast. I am really pleased that I managed to interview Steven Lynch, the Edinburgh Capitals head coach, for the upcoming season. It's very interesting to have the Caps back, and I hope you enjoy the interview. Welcome to the All Blaze No Glory podcast to Fife Flyers legend and a legend of many other teams, Steven Lynch. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
And sorry, did I get that intro right? I think you played for more teams than just the Fife Flyers. Is that correct?
Yeah, I almost covered every base in Scottish hockey, actually. I think with the exception of Dundee. There was Fife, then I had a year in Dumfries, a year in Ayr, a couple in Paisley, and then 8 in Edinburgh. And then back to Fife to finish things off again.
That's a pretty well-rounded resume in terms of Scottish playing hockey. And you're now a coach. I think you're coaching Edinburgh Capitals, obviously, which is what we're going to get on to talk about. But I think you've been involved in the junior scene before that, and maybe a bit with the Fife juniors as well. So can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I got into junior hockey just round about when my son started playing, when he was sort of 4.5 years old. I was still playing for the Flyers at the time, so I started taking him to learn to play at Kirkcaldy, and very quickly, I think within his second practice, I ended up on the ice helping out, and from there, I just kind of progressed to coaching various age groups in Kirkcaldy. Ended up becoming the head coach of the club, and then with that, David Hand, who was SIH chairman at the time, asked me if I wanted to get involved with the national programme and start doing some stuff with the Scotland setup, which I was happy to do. So I was head coach of Scottish ice hockey for, I think, maybe 7 years. I just kind of called time on that this summer. And then last year, I found myself up at Dundee for a year coaching the under-19 team up there. That was a good time as well. I enjoyed that. It was a good year. But then this summer, obviously, I got the opportunity to jump out of junior hockey and into senior hockey, back at a club that it was always close to my heart, Edinburgh Capitals. When I heard they were forming again and I was asked if I wanted to take on the coaching role there, I didn't really have to think long about it. It was a pretty easy decision to make. So yeah, long time in junior hockey. Enjoyed most, if not all of it. It comes with its problems sometimes, but I guess that's just part and parcel. Covered off, did a lot of work with Scotland teams and was lucky to coach the Great Britain under-16 team as well for a couple of years. So enjoyed every minute of it, but now it's looking forward to something new.
Cool. And you touched on it there. The Caps are back. I think it's maybe a 3-year hiatus, maybe 4.
I think it was 4 years. I think 2018, wasn't it? That was their last season.
I think that's right, because the Racers had 2 seasons and then lockdown cancelled them in 2020. So that would be that accords with that. Obviously, there was the 2 years where we've had the Racers and things, and I don't think it's worthwhile getting into the politics behind all that. But as someone, as you said, it's a club close to your heart. What did it mean to you to hear that the Caps were on their way back to Murrayfield?
It was massive. Like you touched on that, you don't want to get into the politics, and I certainly don't either. I'm seeing it as it's a turning of the page. What's happened. The Edinburgh Capitals are back. When I first heard that it was happening, I was delighted. Like I say, it's a club that I had the most fun or most enjoyable 8 years of my hockey career playing there. I loved playing there in the BNL and a little bit in the Elite League when I was there. Loved the place. When I heard the Caps were making a comeback, I instantly wanted to be a part of it. I was kind of sitting hoping I was going to be asked one way or another. Luckily, I was. So yeah, but not just for it's great for Scottish hockey that Murrayfield Ice Rink's open again. You think of all the fans that have missed out on hockey in the last couple of years: Caps fans, Racers fans of any team that have played out Murrayfield Ice Arena. And I think everybody in Scottish ice hockey's missed Murrayfield Ice Arena as well, and missed the junior teams, the rec teams, the university teams. You name it. There's a lot of different teams, whether it be professional, amateur, rec, junior, all play out of that rink. So I think it gave Scottish ice hockey a big lift when the announcement was made that Murrayfield Ice Arena was opening again and the Caps were going to be back.
Yeah, and I think the official opening date is on or around the weekend of the 14th of October.
Yes.
That's right. And so, but before then, I think the Caps are maybe starting the season out on the road. Now, I kind of asked you a question before we started recording. How's things been getting everyone up to speed?
Well, we've started pre-season training already. We had our first practice on Monday night. We're practicing out of Fife for the first 5 or 6 weeks until Murrayfield's ready for us to start training there. Which brings its challenges. You know, you want to start the season off practicing and playing out your own rink, but that's not possible just with the work that's going on. It's going to take a little bit of time to get the ice pad ready. So yeah, we're practicing on the road, and we're going to play our first 4 games on the road, and then we look to move back into Murrayfield week beginning. I think you said 14th. I think it's actually Saturday the 15th of October. I think it is. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the date that we've got earmarked. And from what I believe, the work at Murrayfield Ice Arena is bang on schedule. Maybe even maybe a few days ahead of schedule. We're possibly looking to get in there to start training the week before that, if we can, all going well. So yeah, it was important that I think originally when we started talking about putting the team together, we spoke about delaying the start of our season until Murrayfield was ready, but that was never really going to be a viable option. We had to hit the ground running. Even from a player recruitment point of view, it would be difficult to try and sign a team if we weren't going to be starting until maybe 6-7 weeks after everybody else. So we had to come up with some other alternatives, and that's training out of Fife. They've been gracious to give us some ice time to help us with our preparations and training. And yeah, we'll go for the first few weeks there before we get the opportunity to move back into our own rink.
Cool. And how did the boys find their first training session with the return of the Caps? How was it?
I was pleasantly surprised, to be honest. I know there was a few guys that hadn't really skated at all in the last couple of years. There was a handful of guys that had been playing maybe just rec hockey, just maybe scrimmaging once a week and things like that. So we knew there was going to be a little bit of rust on a few of them, but the initial signs were encouraging. We had everybody there apart from a couple that were still waiting to come into the country. We had a few trialists on the ice as well. That's definitely given me a little bit of food for thought. Guys from the juniors, guys from university teams, and so on and so forth. So yeah, good first practice. We'll look to build on that on our next one as we sort of prepare for our first game in Kirkcaldy on I think it's the 17th of September.
Yeah. And I presume that's against the Kestrels.
Yeah.
And is it good to get that sort of Fife Murrayfield rivalry right under your belt right away?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you've got to play every team 4 times anyway, so it doesn't really matter what order they come in. But yeah, we play the Kestrels first, and then our second game's up in Dundee. So that's 2 of my ex teams that I've played at and played or coached at. So yeah, there's definitely going to be a little bit of a rivalry. But no, like we're just. I think everybody's just really keen to get started, especially since we've had that first practice on Monday night. It was 2 months in the making of starting to put a team together to that first practice. So it was nice to get everybody together in the one dressing room, then everybody out on the ice, and there was a lot of smiles and a lot of faces, especially the Edinburgh guys that haven't really had a chance to play too much competitive hockey in the last couple of years. So yeah, it was everything was good as far as the first practice goes.
Great, that's good to hear. And in terms of recruitment, how do you go about that with an SNL team? I appreciate you can't tell me everything, but what's it? I mean, for us, people contact us and say, I want to play hockey or recce or uni or whatever. But for putting together a solid SNL lineup, how do you go about that?
It was basically me going around with my phone glued to my ear for about a month solid. I was calling everybody that I knew. People, I was taking a few phone calls myself as well. It started off pretty quietly because even though I'd accepted to take the job on and we knew the Caps were coming back, it wasn't actually official for another sort of couple of weeks maybe. So for the first couple of weeks, I'm phoning some guys and I'm trying to say, there's going to be a team in Edinburgh, the rink's opening again. And I think there was probably a few people didn't believe me, in all honesty. But once the announcement was made that the rink was open and the Caps were back, the phone was, like I say, it was basically stuck to the side of my head for the best part of a month. And we were probably quite lucky in who we managed to recruit. We missed out on 2 or 3 players that we would have liked that would have made us a little stronger. But they chose other avenues for their own reasons, which you completely respect. But once I started speaking to a few people, started sort of explaining to them what we were going to try and do in Edinburgh, how we were going to try and do it, and try and run an amateur team as professionally as you possibly can, I think that really appealed to a lot of guys. So, like I say, while I missed out on 2, maybe 3 players, we managed to recruit what we believe is to be a pretty strong team so far. We're not finished yet. We're still looking to maybe add another 1, maybe 2 or 3 more players before the season starts, which, all going well, I think we'll do. But the recruitment process was fun. Like I say, it was once you started speaking to some people and started highlighting what your plans were and what the plans were for the team and the building and so on and so forth. It was, I really think it interested a lot of people.
Yeah, and I obviously had some chats as well. I've been seeing, and maybe you can shed a little bit more light on that. But there's a new cafe in the arena now, and it seems to be open already. Or have I got that wrong?
The Iceberg Cafe. They totally ripped out the old one, put a new. It's a state of the art. I don't know if state of the art's the right term of phrase, but a much cleaner, much brighter, much more appealing cafeteria there that actually serves food that's looks quite appetizing. There's still a little bit of a question mark as whether they're going to keep doing things like stovies and pies and things like that. But no, the cafe's had a complete overhaul. I believe the bar is going to be the next to get completely overhauled. There's been a lot of work done to the pipe work underneath the pad because, as everybody knows, that was in a state of disrepair. A lot of it had to be replaced. So all the pipe work's been replaced. I believe they've done all the pressure testing and it came back with 1 or 2 leaks which they've fixed. Now it's just a case of laying the pad. Once I think the place is getting used right now for something with a festival. I think there's some sort of pop-up thing going on at the festival right now, so they're kind of limited as to what they can do right now. But as soon as that's finished, they're going to get to finishing off the pad, and then I think they plan on turning the coolers on kind of end of September. So yeah, there's a lot of good things happening with the rink. The people that are involved in running it now, I think they've got it for a minimum 10-year lease, so they've got plans. They want to make the building a little more appealing. They want to make it more enticing for people to come in, whether it be for public skating, whether it be for hockey, whether it be for junior hockey, figure skating. They want to make the place more appealing. It's starting with the cafe that's going to be open sort of 7 days a week now, right throughout the day, as opposed to just a couple hours here and there. And there's big plans for the place that if everything comes to fruition, people will be coming into Murrayfield to eat, to drink, to do all sorts of things, not just to step on the ice or watch what's going on the ice.
No, that's good to hear, and certainly there might be a riot though if the cafe doesn't serve stodgy stovies on match.
And I'll be right at the front of that line.
So the other thing is I've been seeing some of the tweets about various recruits, and some of them are familiar faces to me. Jack Wright played with the Eagles last year, but the biggest and best reaction I've seen is the mascot returning. So have you had the chance to meet the mascot yet?
Not yet, no. But the guy seems to have a bit of an iconic figure, doesn't he? I think he got the most likes on social media more than any of the players when his announcement was made that he was returning. Poor guy's been in hibernation for 4 years now. He's going to be itching to get out and do his thing on the first home game. So but it's a bit of fun. But I believe Paws has a bit of an iconic following on social media around the country with hockey fans. So it'll be nice to see him do his thing at the first home game as well.
Brilliant. And what are your goals or maybe not expectations, but your goals for this season in terms of this squad? It's obviously been put together in a bit more challenging way than perhaps you would like, with not being able to be at home and things to start off with.
Well, when I first accepted the job, there was 3 or 4 things that I really wanted to try and do when we started putting the team together. First of all, I wanted us to have a lot of speed, which I think we've done with some of the guys that we've brought in. We wanted to have a deep bench, which I think we're in the process of doing. And we wanted to have a good nucleus of Murrayfield born and bred trained players, which we've done as well as bringing a few in from around other teams as well. That was the 3 things that we really wanted to kind of do when we started putting a team together. Our hopes for the season: we want to compete. We're not doing this to finish second, you know. We want to be competing right from the start of the season, right to the end of the season, for leagues and cups and all the other honours that go with it. Like I say, we still need a couple of players to maybe help us do that, but we're definitely on the right track.
Cool. And then lost my train of thought slightly there. In terms of competition, is it the goal of the Caps to maybe sort of go down the NIHL route, sort of like Dundee have done in the cups and things in the future, or is that not something that's been discussed yet?
Not really something that's been discussed in any great depth yet. We have reached out to a few NIHL teams to see if they want to play some home and away friendlies and things like that, where we can gauge where we're at as a team and gauge where we're at as a club, sort of thing. But like I say, right now we're not going to run before we can walk. Yeah, the Caps have been around for 20 odd years, but what people have also got to remember is when we go into the season, we're going in as a first year team again. So we have to make sure we build the fan base. We have to make sure we build a good solid squad. We have to make sure we've got everything in place behind the scenes and things like that. If we do all that and do all that quickly, next year, who knows? Anything's possible. But like I say, we're not thinking that far ahead right now. We're really just thinking about this first season and having a good competitive squad on the ice and putting everything right in the background to make the club as successful as it can be. Yeah,
I mean, I have to say, I do hope that you manage to organise a game of Whitley Bay in Murrayfield. That'd be wild again. It's always been a rivalry with the Scots and Whitley Bay. And just obviously you're a tenured Cap from back in the day. Does it feel like the Caps again, or does it feel like a new team altogether?
A little bit of both. Like I say, the name was around for I think 20 seasons. So yeah, the Caps are back, but it is a new team. It is a different team now, playing in a different league from where they were from the last time they were around. So it's the same, but it's completely different at the same time.
Okay, a couple more questions, a bit off topic from the Caps itself, but just if anyone's interested in how a coach prepares. How much time do you spend sort of prepping a practice, prepping a game plan on a week-to-week basis in your role as the head coach?
Well, the first practice was fairly simple, in all honesty. We didn't do anything too in-depth. It was really just a lot of flow drills to get the guys' hands and feet working together again and get their eyes working with their hands and things like that. It's a little bit challenging this year because we've only got 4 more practices until our first game. So we've got to try and find time to work on defensive zone stuff. We've got to try and find time to work on breakouts, our forecheck, our back check, power play, things like that, as well as get the guys fit as we possibly can in that sort of short time scale as well. So a little bit different. So I'm maybe thinking about it a little bit more than I would in any other season, because like I say, we've got a short window to try and get the guys ready, and we've got guys that haven't played in a few years. So there's a bit of thought involved in that. When it comes to games, I don't like to overthink hockey. In all honesty, I really don't. I think my philosophy on hockey is if you can put together a talented team that works hard, you'll have a relative amount of success. You can draw up whatever fancy plays, fancy formulas, fancy systems, but if your players aren't buying in, or if they're not giving everything they've got, they don't necessarily work. So, like I say, especially at SNL level, if you can put together a talented team that are going to go out and outwork the team you're going to play against, I think you'll have success. And I've already made a point of saying to the guys, we'll be the hardest working team in the league. And hopefully, as the season goes on, we'll become the fittest team in the league as well, to be able to play the style that we want to play.
Okay. And this podcast is a bit eclectic in terms of sport. It's all different sports on it, so there might be a few people that are just listening because they're my pals and they want to want to support me. But just you've been in hockey a long time. I don't want to say you've been in hockey forever because you're not that old. But,
it feels like it sometimes.
Why would you suggest to people that hockey is a good sport to either get involved in or to watch?
I think just the speed of it, the skill level is something completely different. It's a family sport. It's a difficult sport to master as well, which I think people understand once they come to see it. You're skating on blades that are an eighth of an inch thick, and you're firing up a little rubber disc around like a bullet and trying to keep up with it. It's there's certainly a lot of skill involved, and like I say, the family element of the sport is great to see too. You'll probably see just as many women watching a game of hockey as you will men, and a lot of kids as well. I think for those reasons alone, it makes it one of the most exciting sports. I think it's one of the, don't quote me on this, but I think it's one of the highest attended indoor sports in the country. I'm not sure what it's competing against, but I do remember reading that or hearing that somewhere where, with the elite league crowds, some teams are getting 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people a game. It is a fast, exciting, entertaining sport.
Okay. And finally, because I'm sure a lot of people want to know this, what is your proudest moment in a Caps jersey?
Proudest moment in a Caps jersey? I always remember when I played for Edinburgh, we always lost when we went into Fife. And we used to lose quite heavily sometimes. But I remember one game in the playoffs where we went in there and spanked them something like 4-1 or something like that, but completely outplayed them from start to finish. I might have scored a goal in that game. I can't 100% remember. But that was a nice feeling after taking the few beatings that we took over the years in there, going there and winning the playoffs. That was a pretty big achievement. That was a pretty nice feeling, especially with me being a Kirkcaldy boy.
Yeah, I think I might have been at the only other game that the Caps beat the Flyers, and I remember Daniel McIntyre got a bloody ear in that game and ended up he walked to the hospital because I offered him a lift and he just walked himself. That was Daniel. One last question: Who is the best player you've ever played with in your time in hockey?
Oh, there's been a few. Obviously, Tony Hand has to get a mention for what he's done for hockey. He was a fantastic player. Jason Lafreniere was an amazing player when he was the year he spent with the Caps. When I was 18 and played in Fife, the two imports we had that year were Doug Smale and Laurie Boschman. And I think the two of them had probably around 2,000 NHL games between them. Jiri Lala and Air, Czech top scorer in Czech league history, I think he was. He was something else as well. And actually, I'd have loved to have seen Jiri maybe 10 years earlier when he was a little bit more intense. He kind of lost a bit of his intensity at 38. I think he basically came over to play a year in Ayr just to learn English because I think he owned a hotel. I think the main reason he came over wasn't to play hockey; it was to help him with his English. But the best player, I'd probably have to say Laurie Boschman because I played on. He was only in Fife for maybe about 10 weeks, but I played in the line with him. It's pretty amazing what a guy with over 1,000 NHL games can teach you when you're sitting on the bench and in the dressing room between shifts, between periods, things like that. I'd probably have to say Bosch, but like I say, Smale, Lala, Lafreniere, Tony Hand, they would all come a joint close second, I think.
And was it Lala that you said he was the player from Ayr, was he?
Yeah.
If you were recommending to him the best place in Scotland to play hockey to learn English, would you recommend Ayr?
Probably not, but they were the only Super League team at the time, and I think he was friends with the assistant coach in Ayr at the time, a guy called Milan Figala, another Czech guy. I think they knew each other, so that was the kind of link to get him over. But I remember, like I say, I'm sure he had a hotel back in Czech. And I'm sure his main reason he wanted to come over and spend a year here wasn't to play hockey; it was to learn English because he was I think he was preparing for retirement. I'm maybe not. Maybe I've maybe got that wrong, but I'm pretty sure that rings a bell somewhere.
And of course, that when you say they were only Super League team, my brain when you said there immediately went to Lincoln Road. So I'm glad you clarified it was the old Centrum rink.
Yeah, that was a fantastic ice rink. It actually breaks you. I drove past it a couple of years ago and saw it was a Sainsbury's now, and it nearly broke my heart, to be honest. It was a fantastic ice. It was the perfect sort of size ice rink for a hockey team in Scotland. I think there was just under or just over 3,000 seats, and it was just set out perfectly. And it's a shame it's not around anymore, but hey ho.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, thank you so much for giving me your time tonight.
No problem.
And letting us talk about the return of the Caps. I was going to do an R. Kelly voice there, but it's not appropriate anymore. But thanks so much for that. Just finally, one last plug, I suppose, for why folks should get along and see the Caps this year.
Why not? They're back after a 4-year hiatus. A very historic team that's played out in Murrayfield Ice Arena for a long time. We've got a new team. We've got a young team made up of a lot of homegrown players that have come through the Murrayfield Junior Hockey Club, and a few players from out with Edinburgh. I think fans have missed hockey, and like I said, everybody I speak to, or every little interview I do, or whatever, I always mention the Racers fans as well, not just the Caps fans. We just call them hockey fans in Edinburgh. They're hockey fans. It doesn't matter what team. If you've missed hockey and you've missed Murrayfield Ice Arena, come along and check us out, and come and see what we're all about. And I can guarantee you'll be watching a team of guys that are going to play with their hearts on their sleeves and give everything they've got week in, week out.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks to Steven there for coming on the podcast. It was a pleasure to have him as our first full guest. A very knowledgeable coach, I'm sure you'll agree, and I do look forward to what the Caps put out on the ice this season. If you're an Edinburgh ice hockey fan, then this is the senior team for you in Edinburgh. Get yourself along there and watch some hockey. I know they're trying to do great things with the Murrayfield Ice Arena when it opens, including a lovely new cafe layout, and I hope you'll all enjoy that. If ice hockey is not your cup of tea and you have listened to this, well, thank you very much. I will be back with another podcast with a good friend of mine, Kenny Collins of Collins Wellness and Coaching, on Monday. And thereafter there will be a follow-up podcast reviewing Festival after that. This is essentially a podcast for all sports, and if there is anything tickles your fancy or you want me to cover, then please get in touch. I thank you for your time. Thank you for taking time to listen to this. Please leave a review and subscribe, and take care until next time. Thank you.